Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Conscious Health podcast with my co host, David Ortega. And today we're talking, the topic of today's episode is called What is the Meaning of Life? Science, Spirituality, and Human Purpose.
Mhm.
What does science say about that, David?
Well, it is very, very interesting, and I have been reflecting about this topic because I think that it is now like the root cause of many of the issues that people are having in terms of the anxiety, in terms of depression, in terms of losing interest in being alive and enjoying life as it is. And this goes back to how you take care of your body and how you take care of your health, because if your health is not in the proper let's say lane, if it is not in alignment with what you are supposed to feel in terms of the energy, that's when you start having problems. So when you are oblivious to the body signals, you become numb of things and you start taking the easy road, which is pills, and then you start feeling and creating these spirals of not feeling, let's say, at your 100% in terms of the energy and in terms of the cognition. You start having these brain fog issues. So it all starts with the different pillars that we are mentioning also in our episodes, no? With how
Hmm.
you have the nutrition in place, what type of food you are eating, ho- if you exercise or not. If you are too sedentary, that also leads to losing this energy in yourself. And I have seen that so many times when people are very sedentary and they don't do anything about moving their bodies, they also start having these cognition problems and brain fog issues. And that leads to feeling not motivated, let's say.
Yeah.
And that creates loops in this, uh, let's not call them negative emotions, but let's
Hmm.
call them uh, awakening emotions, no? Those
Yeah.
emotions, low vibration emotions that we can have, like feeling that anything is worth, or watching too much news, starting to see that the world is just crumbling down. And all of those thoughts start surrounding you when you don't have a purpose, no? And when you don't ask the difficult questions in your life, like, and they are difficult, but they are simple, no? If
Yeah.
you enjoy, first of all, if you enjoy your job, that would be the first one that I can come with. No?
Yeah, I think we spend more time working than we do doing anything else, right? And ideally, we should look at it as a third, being sleeping for a third, the 8 hours, working for 8 hours, and having family time for 8 hours. But I think it's very rare that people are doing that these days, right? With the societal pressures that we all find ourselves in, needing to work harder, work smarter, work longer, and to do more so that we can survive. And I agree with you in the sense that, and both you and I have programs where our health, vitality, our joy is the center of our way of being. And health is not necessarily only the physical, but it's the mental, the emotional. What are we putting into our minds? What are we putting into our bodies? What emotions are we sitting in? And I agree with you. All emotions are valid and all emotions are important. But sometimes we do hit these cycles, and there's many things that it could be part of because I one of the things that I tend to connect with when I'm connecting in with the Akashic records is your soul's blueprint. And in your soul's blueprint is really a map with, and I was laughing at it the other day because I put into my GPS I was going somewhere and there was some roadworks. So I had to redirect. And I think
Mm.
that is what our blueprint is like. All the maps to where we're going are there. But every decision that we make at any given time, even though you have a direction of going from A to B, you can still choose to not listen, and turn right or left wherever you want, wherever there's an opportunity, and that will take you longer because you might see something and you're like, oh my goodness, I need to go see what's happening down this road. Or perhaps there is a diversion that comes through that takes you in that different way. And having access to that is being able to really look at who are you and why you are here. And I think a lot of the times we hit this space when burnout is a great way of looking at it. And usually when life is not working or when we're stuck, physically when we're stuck, usually what comes out of the Akashic records is we need to move. Physically move, mentally
Hmm.
move, energetically move. And the best way to do that is to move our bodies. A lot of the times I actually say to get your adrenaline running when we're feeling stuck. So do something like, I've recommended to people kind of like doing those indoor kind of like, jumping out of plane, kind of like abseiling kind of experiences, or actually just go and do a tandem jump or hit a roller coaster or something that will get your energy moving tends to help us get out of that. But these are just band-aids, the same as you say, like these are just plasters. So the pill, the meditation, whatever it is, even if you look at it from a holistic perspective, oh, I meditate every day. Yeah, that is a band-aid. Are you really, is that just allowing you to calm your nervous system enough just so that you can go and do your job? Or is it, what is the root of the problem? Because, or root of the issue, and perhaps you're in a job that your parents wished for you, or you're there because you think it was going to bring you money and success. Or are you there because this is something that is your passion, that you love, that you, and nowadays we've learned that we can make a living from anything. Look at all these
Hmm.
YouTubers, look at all these influencers, they're doing what they love in a sense, and they don't have to have a traditional job to have that income in order to live. So I think a big
Yeah.
part of it is ignoring our bodies because our bodies are the physical reality of why things aren't working. And like you said, we tend to ignore it because we're so busy trying to survive that the mechanism is not there. So I usually say it's almost like putting in petrol or putting in gas in your car. What's happening is like we're just putting in like $10 each time instead of filling the tank so that you can go further and you have bigger bandwidth, right? Or you're ignoring that your tires are a little bit flat and you're not really servicing or maintaining the vehicle that we've come in to explore, right? And perhaps we're not meant for off-roading. Perhaps we're not meant for, and that doesn't bring us passion and purpose. So I think the meaning of life is quite an interesting question because in some senses, I feel life is meaningless unless the meaning we give to life based on our experiences and our thought processes and what we're wanting to actually create, because we
Hmm.
choose how it affects us, right? We choose how we respond. And I think that is, and I'm still getting my head around how do I consciously create, right? This life that we're living in.
I love that last part that you were mentioning about life being meaningless if you don't give it something to work with, let's say. And I
Yeah.
just make the analogy of starting to paint something or to draw something. You have the blank canvas and
Hmm.
you are just thinking about what can you design, but if you don't give the first stroke, if you don't start drawing something,
Yeah.
it's just a canvas, it's just a white canvas. So it doesn't have any purpose, meaning, or anything. You are going to give it life by
Yeah.
giving these strokes and these different figures and shapes and colors and everything. And that's life. Life is also a canvas that you can start designing and that you can start letting yourself be guided, as you were mentioning as well, by the blueprint of your soul. And by
Hmm.
this messages that you receive. And I also like the story or the experience that you had with your GPS, because it is like that. It may at many times I have always have these experiences also when I feel that sometimes things don't go the way they are supposed to go, and you feel depressed or you feel sad because something happened in your life. Let's say you lose a job, or you are fired from a job, no? And I remember so much this experience because it was a day when I failed an exam in my master's degree. And then in the afternoon, I was fired from the job. So, two events that were
You were
really,
having a good day.
yeah, I was having the best day of my life, I think.
Well,
But it
now it
turned
is.
out, yes, it turned out to be really good because you know what I did after those two events that I felt really bad? I said, well, what is the one place and the one thing that I can do that I know for sure that I will feel much better? And I
Yeah,
went straight to the gym to
yeah,
swim. And
yeah.
after a swim session, after I don't know if it was 2 hours or something like that of swimming, I got out from the gym, and I found a woman in that moment that a friend told me that she liked me.
Mhm.
And I said, well, what can I lose if I approach her and if I invite her to take a drink or something? Uh, And I said, today I can't lose anything because I already lost everything, my job,
Yeah,
I failed. So
yeah.
I said, let's go. And I was with a lot of confidence because I knew that I couldn't lose anything. And I told her, what are you going to do in the next minutes or in the next hour?
Hmm.
And she had a plan with a friend. She already had a plan. And she was talking with that friend. Well, I approached her and I took the phone and I told the friend, you know what? She's going to call you in just a minute or some minutes. And I
Yeah,
hung up the phone and I talked to her and I told her, now you don't have a plan. So do you want to go
yeah.
with me and go in a bar and take some drinks? And she said, yes. And that was the
Nice.
beginning of one relationship with her. So life happens like that, and you need to start seeing things with that mindset
Hmm.
that even if it's your worst day,
Yeah,
apparently due to the events that have been happening in, let's say, the morning and the afternoon of a day, you still have some, let's say, power of decision to
yeah,
change the things. And you need to look for anything in your life that makes you feel good, whatever it is.
yeah,
Having a walk by yourself, going to the gym, drawing something, listening to something, start journaling about what happened, whatever it is that makes you feel good, that is the experience that you should look for, because that
yeah,
experience and that movement of the emotion that you have,
yeah.
it's going to change the background, let's say, of the day, no?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And it is, it's looking at how is this working for me? I know I've said this time and time again,
Yeah.
because it's like you say, our worst days are really the biggest days, or what I see the hugest crossroads in our lives, right? Because they force us to become the people we were always meant to be, right? So we can choose, like you say, to step into that, because what have you got to lose? Because
Yeah,
what you're actually losing is yourself by
exactly.
not doing those things. So what you have to lose is far greater than, if you did do something. And I think that when we reach these stages where we're looking at depression, burnout, anxiety, it's all a stop because we've probably ignored our body well before that. And it's
Hmm.
like it's a stop and listen. And it's so interesting. In one of my groups, we were talking about the power of prayer the other day. And I always used
Mm,
to say, well, meditation is a form of prayer, but I was very wrong.
mm,
I realized the other day that a lot of the times we pray, but we don't listen to the responses. For
mm,
me, meditation is listening. It's the part that comes with the sense of listening, that part that goes within. It's that part of accessing that inner wisdom or that connection with God or creator or source. It's remembering that we're part of the same thing. And I think the meditation is the ability to listen. And I think
mm.
that is important. Not enough to listen without action is
Ah,
just
yeah.
it's like sitting on a rocking chair. You're doing something, but you're not going anywhere, right? It's like
Yes.
you feel like you're doing something, but you're not really going anywhere. So the action part of it is important. I don't think we're spiritually there yet or
Mm,
consciously there yet where we can just think it and it manifests. So we need to still move the matter, which is our physical reality, and action our way into it. But I think that part is quite important in that sense of going in because it's like we were talking earlier, it's finding out what is the source of my happiness because maybe this job isn't the job that I want to be doing. Maybe this job, yes, it makes me, and I deal with a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of leaders, a lot of people who are like, I wanted this big job. I've got the title, I've got the house, I've got the car, I've got the family, but something is still missing. And that's missing because you're living somebody else's life, right? You're living
mhm.
for something else,
Yeah.
right? And I have an example of that, which I'll say, but I'll let you comment into that.
Yes. Well, my comment was going to be that I'm listening also some parts of Carl Jung and how
Hmm.
he explored this concept of the persona and individuation and how you start becoming yourself after you take out the mask, after you take out this
Yeah,
facade that you create because society approves of that. And it makes a lot of sense what I have been listening about him because he tells the story that when you are a child, you don't know anything to do but to develop mechanisms of defense and to develop things to cope with certain aspects in your life. And you find a way to be accepted by your parents and to be approved by them and to start being the good child and do those things. But if you don't stop yourself to reflect, if you don't stop yourself to meditate, as you are mentioning, and to listen and do something with that listening, not just be
yeah,
passive, then you are going to become that persona forever.
yeah,
Well, forever until you wake up, no?
yeah,
And that is the persona that gets depressed. That is the persona that really uh, hits the wall in terms of seeing that his life or her life is not meaningful,
yeah,
even though they have everything, no, in terms of the material aspects. But when you have everything materialistically speaking, and spiritually you are empty, you really can't find something to cheer up or
yeah.
something to be happy for, no?
So I think that we can have it all. I really
Yeah.
do. I think it's like it's not an either or anymore. I think we can have an and. I've started saying instead of either or, I've been saying and, right? Because I th like yeah, we are powerful, and a lot of the times in when we're talking about in the spiritual senses, when somebody says step into your power, it's not this power that is kind of like forceful. It's stepping into your power is what are you here to do? Who are you here to become? Who are you here to be? And getting to learn who are you? What is that uniqueness of you? Right? And I think we're so yeah, we're how do I say this? We're beings that need connection. And anything that
Mhm.
threatens that is why we start to build these or put on these masks because it's a survival thing. But then we start to realize it's okay, we're not for everybody and not everybody's for us, and that's okay. Because the more we try and be more true to ourselves, the people that aren't in alignment will fall away, and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
And that's important. So, example that I was going to give the other day is this is so funny. I ended up in a hospital like maybe about a month ago. Um, I have an allergy to insects. Okay, mosquitoes. I swell up. I like it's horrible. It's like I get like even when I was a kid living in South Africa where there's animals everywhere. Um, I would swell up and then like it weeps. Like I've been stung, but my dad's super allergic. Like he will go into anaphylactic shock. To bees. Bees, I'm okay. I get this weird effect in my body, but I don't stop breathing. So I got stung on the ear by a wasp twice the other day. Twice, not once, but twice, because I couldn't get it out of my hair.
Mhm.
And it was when I went to bed. I was just like, I just felt this crawling and I did this, and then it stung me, and then it got stuck in my hair, and I tried to get it out. Um, so I didn't know how I was going to react. It was super painful, so I took something for it straight away. The next morning I woke up, I had like this like ear. And it was so funny because my youngest daughter looks at me, she goes, "Well, hello, Dumbo," because like my ear, it was like, the elephant with the big ears. It was just like, I was like, yeah, I know. But what happened was, so that happened on a Thursday, actually, one after one of our podcasts. I think it was our last podcast. And then the next day, Friday, I just left it. I took another antihistamine. I just left it and I thought I'll monitor it. But on Saturday, I was doing this huge event at the Theosophical Society. It was a big training. It was my Zoom, my computer. And I started realizing that my lymphatic nodes were up. So I was like, I'll go to the pharmacy. Maybe they'll give me something, right? So they gave me the strongest antihistamine that they had. But what happened is my neck was red. So by the time I got home at like 6 o'clock, my mom looked at it and she went, "This is getting worse." And I could start to feel like a little kind of like pull on my throat. So I thought, let me go to the hospital. And I was like, oh, I hate the hospital, but let me go to the hospital because if I stop breathing, I don't want to traumatize those people at home to have to call for an ambulance. And I can't think of anything worse. So off I drove myself to the hospital. And when I got there, I said, look, this isn't making any sense. It's not a like when I got there, the receptionist, it was like I was doing her a favor. I was like bothering her by actually even being there. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is brutal. And the waiting room is full, right? So I was like, okay. And then we went in and like the lights and everything, like the children's section is one of the best. It's amazing, right? And every medical person that I came into contact with, they were like, there wasn't a happiness. There wasn't a, this is what I want to do. This is like, and I was like, and then I got home and I thought, how depressing is that? Right? Like, because careers like doctors, careers like teachers, careers that like change humanity, they're usually vocational. It's like you want
Mhm.
to go, you're like, it's like, I mean, all careers in a sense I think are vocational, but you never used to go into teaching because of the finances. What you wanted to go into teaching because you wanted to shape the minds of the future. You wanted to go into medicine because you really had this passion for helping people,
Yeah.
and it made me realize that the systems, so there's a passion, there's a purpose. That's part of your spirituality, your blueprint. You've come here to heal. Or to heal others. And a lot of the times, healers have been traumatized when they were younger, or so they've moved through their stuff and then they come to help others, or it's intergenerational. My father was a doctor, whatever, and it's already part of your blood. So it's already actually as a blueprint. You already come in with that knowledge, those genetics, that's already there. But I thought, where have we gotten to where like we're siphoning the life out of people, right?
Mhm.
Because we're so restricting how they do their jobs. And we've tied their hands behind it and they behind their back and said, okay, go on, do your job, but we're gonna suck the life out of it. We're gonna suck the life out of your passion. And I was just like, this is brutal. absolutely brutal. And I was like, how did we get to this as this? And maybe that's why I needed to go, right? But it was just now I know that I swell like mosquitoes, and because it was there, it was like so, but it was fine. And I mean, they kept me because of breathing for like under observation. But I think I
Mm.
needed to really go there just to see like, man, we really need to start living consciously. We really not need to start running our organizations like consciously. We can't start sucking the life out of people, right? There's a balance between, science, spirituality, and our human purpose. Our purpose, like our values need to align with the companies that we're working with.
Yeah, and I think that the root cause of all of those things is that if you ask any of those physicians what is the purpose of his life, he he or she won't be able to answer. I'm sure. I'm sure that
Yeah.
they don't even know what they are doing. I mean, they are performing a job, and it's extremely important what they are doing, but they don't even care about that. And they lost track of whatever judgment they did when they were studying, and they lost track of all of these principles and values that they are supposed to be part of the formation of a person that is going to be a physician and
Mm-hmm.
someone that is taking care of their health. But as you are saying, all of this bureaucracy, all of these rules, all of these procedures that every institution has is making the jobs extremely boring, difficult, tedious, and repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
So, any kind of job that you can perform under those circumstances is going to be something that is going to drain the energy of you, and it's
Yeah.
going to get the worst out of you. And that's what we are seeing. The
Yeah.
teachers are also in the same place. I mean, when I see teachers, just see them depressed and completely numb of what they
Yeah.
feel because of those rules, because of those institutions that are creating these walls, and there is no freedom to experiment something new, to be creative, to in terms of the career of a physician, to have this social contact with
Mm-hmm.
people and to even ask, how are you feeling? I
Yeah.
I know that if you come with the ear like that, you are not feeling good, but
Yeah.
maybe go a little deeper, no, and ask more things. They don't have time for that.
No,
They
they
have
don't.
10 or 15 minutes to take on the patient and to listen to the symptoms and to prescribe something. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just like even the environment, the lighting, the colors, everything. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I think I'm going to walk out of there a lot worse than when I came in because I usually have like, I mean, even though I was in pain, I was like quite positive and, happy and stuff like that. But it was just like, oh my goodness, yeah, I just wish that I was like, let me just like paint this and change this and like let's like everybody needs like a coaching session or something, in there that brings that in to say, okay, what's working well, what can work better, what's not working in your job as well. I think the metrics that the unrealistic metrics, I think, that we're placing, and I think that's why all systems are collapsing because they're not working anymore. It's like I just see it as like these big machines that were going faster, 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 harder, harder, faster, faster until it like breaks, right? And I think we're in those spaces because it needs to. And it served its function in the past, but now we need to start looking at things in a different way. And I think that's probably we're at that edge, that brink of bringing that in. And I think that's important that science, spirituality, and purpose need to work together. Right? We've kept them all very separately. I actually get really triggered. It like makes me like twitch when they're like, it's backed by science. And I'm like, somebody else tells me it's backed by science. I'm just going to feel that's a lie after the trauma that COVID experienced with us. I was like, don't give me that backed by science because like that will be like, I don't trust science anymore. You know, obviously I do, but if you're going to give me something medical and you say that, I'm like not taking it, not doing it. I start like twitching, you know. But science
Yeah.
does need to work together. Science and spirituality have always worked together. Science is just giving, I think, spirituality the vocabulary on how it works. But we
Mm,
didn't have that vocabulary. We didn't have that mechanical understanding. And I think science is catching up to metaphysics because it's always been there.
mhm.
Except in the past, we used to go, oh, you just have to believe it. Whereas now, with quantum physics, it's all coming in this and this and this is why it happens, right? Which is
Yeah.
amazing. And neuroscience as well is teaching us a lot.
And we spoke a little bit about that in the last episode that we touched on the intuition side.
Hmm.
And I think that science now is taking that journey. Well, let's divide science and let's say real science and fake science because we know
Mm.
that there are some fake issues there.
Well, fake science is marketing. You can spin information however you want, right? So
Yeah,
I think
sure.
you just made me realize that fake science is just a marketing spin on the data that is there, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's just manipulation of data, and that is not science, of
Do
course.
you know what it is? It's like Instagram. It's like everything looks nice and shiny on the outside. Behind it is like, what is the truth that's happening in behind you? You
Yeah.
know?
Yes, everybody's just going
Everybody.
down and just like flying,
No.
no? Of course. Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen with this episode if we keep talking about these things, but
We're gonna get
yes.
canceled again, David.
No, but talking about these experiences that we have, I think that the major thing that is happening is that people don't have time to reflect about anything.
No.
They don't have these spaces that they should have. And I was just talking with a friend today about athletes and
Mm.
tennis and how these schedules of the different tournaments in tennis, they don't have space to rest. So
Mm.
I admire a lot of female and male tennists that are breaking down because they are having lesions in their bodies because
Mm.
they don't have this time to rest. I mean,
Yeah.
the, let's say the Madrid Open started like a month ago. It lasts 2 weeks, then it finishes and it begins the Rome Open, and then it finishes and it begins the Roland Garros, and they don't have any time in between to rest, to breathe, to enjoy life, and they
Mm.
keep training and they keep training, and they you can't sustain that life unless you take some aids, no?
Yeah.
So that's why they are becoming also really, really numb to whatever is happening outside of the sport, and they
Yeah.
are losing the joy of playing, and
Yeah.
that is being experienced as we are mentioning in
Mm.
every
Yeah.
arena of life we are seeing. And I think that that was the prediction for this year, no?
Yeah.
Burnout, it's gonna be really, really high for many people, no?
Well, it is because, like, as we said in Chinese astrology, we're in the year of the fire horse, and the fire horse moves fast. So if you're moving in the wrong direction, you're going to move in the wrong direction fast. And I think that it's like you say, like, or what I said earlier in the sense is like when you hit burnout, when you hit anxiety, when you hit like something physical that happens, that's your body going, stop. You're not moving in the right direction anymore. Stop. You're not looking after your body. Stop. You're not looking after your health. Stop. It's a body just going stop because we've ignored that. Hey, you got to slow down. Hey, you need to take time because that rest and restore is that important bit, right? Is that fuel that we're giving our bodies. And another thing that we were doing tonight, we were saying like when we're young, we don't like our bodies are extremely resilient, right? And it's like, as I used to say, like I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? It's time to move and to travel and to play and to work and I used to work super hard, like, but then body just gave up. Like when I was 21 and I first came to Scotland, I don't know if I said that I used to work three jobs. I used to have an office job,
Mm.
I used to work in a pub and in a nightclub, and I sustained that for 3 months. Like, 'cause like who needs sleep, right? And then I had a friend come to visit me, and I got so sick, so sick, so sick that I couldn't even sit. I had to lie down for 3 days. And I had to say, this is how you get the bus over here. This is how, like, there's food in the fridge. Like, I had like, luckily pre-planned everything for her. But I
Yeah.
literally slept for 3 days because the body was like, and we're out. We're done.
Yeah, the body is gonna turn off
Yeah.
everything if you don't
Yeah.
listen. And that happened to me a lot of times
Did
also
it?
when I was younger, yes, because I also had a lot of things to do. I was studying this really, let's say, hard schedule career that I had to go in the morning and then in the afternoon, and in between I had some hours, but instead of taking those to rest and eat properly, let's say, I went to go to the gym and then I returned, but the commute was really long
Hmm.
and it was stressful, and I didn't even notice because I had the energy until my body said, well, that's
Yeah.
enough. And it gave me a lot of times I had the stomach issues and fever. And that's the only way my body found to knock me down with the
Yeah.
stomach and the fever. So that's the only way I had to stay out for 2 days, probably. And then I came back and then I didn't
Yeah.
learn until it repeated like 3 or 4 times, more or less. No.
Yeah. So, what are the signals that come through for you that you're like, okay, I need to slow down?
For me, it's whenever I feel that I'm I'm just doing things mindlessly. I'm
Mm.
not enjoying things. When I feel this obligation to
Mm.
write something, to record a video, to do a podcast, or when I start feeling that obligation that I
Mm.
need to do it and I don't find the passion that I usually have, that's when I say something is not wrong and I have to rest a little bit and detach from these things and get some air and get some
Yeah.
perspective or write down what is happening. Probably it's just a matter of not choosing the right topics also to speak about or the
Yeah.
right direction in terms of the service that I want to provide. And those are the signals. The next ones, of course, is the body telling me that I need to rest, either with
Yeah.
my eyes that are tired or with this, let's say, fatigue that I can
Hmm.
have, that I don't want to think about anything. And I feel that, let's say, constipation of the mind, the mind becomes constipated and that's too
Yeah.
much there, and you need to release many
Hmm.
things. And usually my stomach also, that's the third signal. My stomach starts being an intuitive signal for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I usually getting better. Like, I have one of these things where I think I can do it all, right? So I tend to schedule it in quite a bit. But I do, for me, it's that, yeah, I start to. It's just there's this need to go for a walk, or there's this like need to do like something in their reconnection or a timeout. I usually tend to take them, although life is pretty full, but I try and keep, not try. I'm trying to remove the word. I am removing the word try from my vocabulary. But what I do tend to do is my battery kind of like switches on in the morning and then it goes, and then when it stops, it's like, okay, I'm done. And then it's good to when I sit there and I go, okay, done is done. But because I have this habit of over scheduling myself, because I think I can do it all, because I do have a lot of energy, because I do get excited about a lot of things, I'm slowing down in the activities that I have, which allows me to slow down and breathe through them without that stress. But when I start, like you say, getting that brain constipation where I'm like, I can't think, my anxiety is coming up, and it usually is because I haven't given that time out. I haven't given that walk in nature. I haven't, going back into corporate, I found myself getting back into that hamster wheel. And then I was like, I can't do this because
Mhm.
sometimes slowing down actually helps us to speed up. It helps us to reorganize our thoughts. It helps us to perhaps have that vision of where a project, where, a where we're trying to find a solution for something. Usually it's that space. And I know when I used to do a little bit of the accounting at my work and something wasn't matching, they say stop, go for a walk, because you need that when something's not actually heading well. It's like, okay, you need to go, right? So
And I think,
it's
yeah,
important.
and I think that past civilizations, scientifics,
Hmm.
well, scientists, sorry, and any other big figure, artist, and all of those um, ancient wisdom characters of life try to taught us that we need this space to reflect. In addition to
Hmm.
being highly productive and highly motivated and, let's say, geniuses, because they were geniuses, they had time
Yeah.
to walk, they had time to do nothing and to start reflecting on the theories that they had in their own research. And every scientist that discovers something did it because it detached from the experience and it
Yeah.
had time to reflect and see whatever he was doing or researching on. And he had that perspective of seeing things in a different way. If you don't detach from that busyness,
Yeah.
that's when you start having these low frequency thoughts of anxious and desperation sometimes, no?
Yeah.
And I was,
But it's
yes,
mhm.
tell me.
It's just extremely hard for the younger generations right now because they're not, it's like boredom served its purpose. They don't have we don't get bored, and everything is
Mhm.
constantly going. So how do we teach the future generations to slow down, to stop, because it's everything is so quick, it's so now, it's so at your fingertips, right? We had the opportunity to be bored. We had the opportunity to slow down and, you know, not we didn't have devices, right?
Talking about devices that I
Yeah.
was just receiving this distraction.
So it's like it's so important to how do we in a world that's so technologically connected, yet we're so disconnected from our souls. Like, how do we unplug?
That's the best question that you can ask, because I think that if we don't start teaching our children and teaching these young generations that boredom serves a purpose and serves this space that they need to have and detach from these devices that have a lot of, let's say, stimuli.
Hmm.
And I just recorded an episode on that in my solo podcast. I talked about this dopamine surge that you release whenever you are in the screen, and it is 1,000 times the quantity of dopamine that you
Hmm.
release when you are into these experiences of scrolling or doing some short videos or gaming. So if they have this amount of stimuli, of course that doing nothing or drawing or reading or doing something that is going to be 1,000 times less the experience is not attractive for them. But if we start allowing this experience to, let's say, to transfer certain peace in them, in children, and certain wisdom of what are they feeling, asking them questions about what are you feeling? Close your eyes and tell me what are you feeling? Just that simple question, and probably start with
Hmm.
1 minute of telling them to close their eyes and to tell you what are they feeling. Where are you feeling those uh,
Hmm.
emotions? No, in what part of your body are you feeling this?
Mm.
What is painful right now in your body? And
Yeah.
asking these kind of questions so that they can learn to scan their bodies, learn to
Yeah.
feel their bodies. It's gonna be very, very challenging in the very near future that we are not going to be able to pull them out of these experiences because it it is just growing exponentially. The depression rate of younger people, the anxious, also statistics of these younger generations. And it is because of three things, I think, and that's what I also research about, because meaning, it is composed of three things: coherence, which
Hmm.
is life makes sense. The
Yeah.
second one is purpose, life has a direction. And the third one is significance. And the third one is life matters.
Hmm.
No? So when you don't have those three spheres and three dimensions that are the, let's say, like like body, mind, and spirit,
Yeah.
you lose track of where you are, who you are, and what are you here for. No.
Yeah. There's nothing like being in nature that
Mhm.
doesn't say that, where you realize that there's something bigger than us, right? Where we realize that there's something else. And I think that is important. I think sports are important as well, for
Yeah.
kids to connect in and learn how to work as part of a team and to disconnect as well, which is important. And the future generations, one thing that they're really good at is adapting. So I have faith and I have hope because they adapt to different situations much quicker than our generations and the ones before us. So they're very, very adaptable. But it's how do we remain human in an age where AI is accelerating and using AI as a tool to make us more human, not less. And I think that's important. And we spoke about intuition being a big part of it, but how do we allow it to really enhance our humanity rather than making us more machine-like? And I think that is important to sit with that and think about what actually makes us human.
Hmm. Yeah. What is something that is going to differentiate us from these creative technologies, no?
Yeah.
And as you are mentioning, these machines and these platforms, they don't have the creativity that a human being can have. And I was just also watching a documentary that spoke about this uh, study that was performed between brain neurons and between the chips and the connection and the fastness of these chips to transfer information.
Okay.
The human brain can decodify and transmit 100 billion stimuli in just a matter of minutes. Uh,
Hmm.
the highest and the most advanced chip can just transfer 6 billion data. So we have a
Yeah.
hundred times more the capacity of any chip
Yeah.
right now. But if we don't use it, we are
Yeah.
going to start losing it.
Yeah.
No. So we need to start reflecting and activating our minds. And nature is one of the most. beautiful things that can do that to us. No?
Absolutely. And you're so right. If we don't use it, we lose it. Whether it's bustle, whether it's brain capacity, whether it's intuition, whether it takes some while getting that back, which is important, right? To reprogram that into our system. So even our lung capacity, if we don't breathe enough, we start to lose it, right? So
Yeah.
use all our humanity. It becomes
It
important.
it is, and that goes back to the beginning where we started, and it is about seeing ourselves as this amazing, let's say, vessel that has
Yeah,
these different spheres and pillars of health. And it's about what you eat, the nutrition that you are having.
yeah,
It is about how your metabolism is working and how you move your body in terms of
yeah,
doing some movement, exercise, sleeping, taking care of your bacteria and your fungus and your microbiota. Also, your emotions, feeling
yeah.
your emotions, learning where are you feeling your emotions in your body,
Mhm.
because in the
That is so
body
important.
you have so many places where you can feel these emotions, and
Yeah.
we spoke about some. Mine is the stomach. Yours, which is yours?
No, mine also used to be the stomach, like my appetite. I'd feel nauseous when I was it is just, especially if you're writing big exams, I absolutely also feel it in my stomach and in my gut. It's one of those, or I get migraines, or I used to get like migraines and get headaches is another one that, yeah.
We all have that experience in our bodies where we can feel the emotion.
Mm,
And the next one is having this consciousness of life, these meditative spaces, whether it is prayer, whether it is meditation, whether it is to walk in nature,
yeah,
any of those will do the trick to connect you with something bigger and higher than you. And,
absolutely.
and finally, having it all, which is the abundant part, the financial
Mhm.
side of these things. Because,
Yeah,
as you mentioned, we can have it all. It is not one or the other, it is
yeah,
both of them. Because if you work in those four pillars, you will have the fifth one by consequence. No?
absolutely. Absolutely. That is a great way to finish off our show. So thank you
Yes.
for summing that up, David. Thank you, listeners, for listening. Let us know if one you'd like to be on our show and would like to be part of the conversation, or if you'd like us to talk about anything in specific. But stay in touch and share your experiences, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.